Hello children. So in the previous video we started with the chapter explanation of body movements. This chapter we started and then I explained you about the axial and appendicular skeleton and also the various functions of the bones. That is, the skull will protect the internal organs like your sense organs as well as the brain. Then what else? The vertebral column protects the spinal cord. The rib cage protects the internal organs such as lungs and heart, and all other things we learned there. Correct? So now I want to ask you a question, children. That if you are holding your hand straight like this, okay, and if you are placing a piece of cardboard, take a long strip of cardboard and place it here, tie it at the both ends. Okay. Now after tying it tightly, just try to bend your arm. So will you be able to bend your arm? Just check it out. You won't be able to bend your arm because it is one long strip of cardboard placed here, and there is it can't be folded, but your arm it can fold and you can move your body, you can do various functions. How is it possible, children? Because bones, it is not one single bone our body is made up of. It is made up of many bones. These bones are joined together at a particular place. Like for example, as I explained in the previous video, the upper arm, the shoulder part, the humerus will join to the radius and ulna at this point, that is the elbow. We call it as a elbow, and this is a joint over here. The same way the hand, the wrist bones are joined here with the metacarpals as well as the radius and ulna. So they are joined, they are joints present over here. We call the place where two bones meet, we call that place as a joint. Okay, now there are several joints, children, in our body. In that, today let us learn few joints. First is ball and socket joint. Ball and socket joint, the name itself, children, actually it represents everything. Like one bone will have a ball-like head. One bone will have a ball-like head. The other bone will have a socket for it to fit inside. Okay, that is why it is called as ball and socket joint. So this kind of joint is present in your upper arm. That is the shoulder part. The humerus, the head of the humerus is a ball-shaped structure, while the shoulder blade will have a socket kind of structure so that it fits into it. Also the same kind of joint you can find in your thigh bone, that is the femur, the head of the femur, as well as the pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle has a socket-like structure for it to fit, and that is why this ball and socket joint, you can see, you can rotate your arm, you can do this movement, you can do it up and down, you can move it actually in all kinds of direction. Correct? So ball and socket joint gives movement in all kinds of direction. Okay? Now coming to the next one, that is hinge joint. And ball and socket joint, children, where is it present? In the hip region as well as in the shoulder region. Okay? Hinge joint. Now hinge means you have in your door. For example, if I say this door, it can open in one direction and it can close like this, but we cannot open in the other direction. Why so? Because they have the hinges present here. These are the hinges present here. Okay, so we call this as the hinges over here. That is why it gives only one movement in one direction, children. So this kind of joint is present in our elbow and knee. Elbow you can fold in only one direction, right? You can't fold the other way. Correct? So shoulder region. Then hinge joint is present in the elbow and knee. Now third one is the gliding joint. Okay, gliding joint, the name itself again it says the bones will glide against each other. Say for example, this is one bone and this is another bone. So in gliding joint, when the movement happens, the bones will just slide over each other to give the proper movement. So this kind of gliding joint is present mainly in the wrist and ankle. Ankle, or you can say the foot part. Okay, it is present in your wrist region, gliding joint. And so see, you can do this kind of movement because of the gliding joint. Next is the pivot joint. Pivot joint, it is present in the neck region, children. It is present in the neck region. The first two vertebrae that is starting from the neck region forms the pivot joint. So this joint is very helpful. Like other joints, it gives all kinds of movements to your head. Like you can do the rotation, right? You can nod your head like this, sideways and up and down, correct? So this kind of joint is present between the first two vertebrae of the backbone. The vertebrae of the backbone will start from the neck region. So we'll tell here as neck. It is present in the neck region. Okay. So these joints are all movable joints, children. You can move that. Correct. These are all called as movable joint. Now we have something called as immovable joints also. The joints which cannot be moved. Joints means where two bones meet. That place is called as a joint. So some joints, they can't be moved. They will be fixed. You can also call as fixed joints. So such joints are present in your cranium. I showed you while showing you about the skull, the image. It was all like the zigzag lines present on the skull, right? So that joints, the bones got fused, but it cannot move. So it is called as immovable or fixed joint. Even your pelvic girdle, the hip girdle, it has few bones which will be fused with each other. Even there you can find this fixed joint. Okay. Now coming to the tendons. Okay. First we will see the ligament. Ligaments are the tough fibrous tissue. Okay. Fiber-like substance which connects a bone to a bone. There should be some connection. Okay. Simply the bone cannot be like this and it cannot move. If it tries to move, if there is no ligament there, the bone can slide off. The bone will displace. So a ligament is a tough tissue which will join a bone to a bone. A bone to a bone. Here, for example, the pink one. You can see the pink one are the ligaments. It is joining. This is one kind of bone. This is another bone. Okay, this is one bone. This is another bone. So these two bones are joined by the ligaments. Now there are tendons also. Okay, tendons are nothing but again they are made up of fibrous substance called as collagen. It is a protein. Okay, so it is made up of collagen. COLLAGEN, collagen. So these tendons, the muscles, you remember the muscles will be joined with the bones and together it gives the movement. So these muscles will have tendons. These muscles will be attached to the bones through the help of tendons. And the white padded structure what you can see here in between two bones, they are the cartilage. That is soft rubber like material which gives the cushion kind of feeling to the joint there. Okay, and in between these joints, there is a presence of synovial fluid. Presence of synovial fluid. That's a lubricating fluid. Okay. Okay. Okay, children. Now moving on to the muscles. We studied about the bones and joints, right? So moving on to the muscles. Muscles along with the bones together help in giving a proper movement in our body. So there are more than 600 muscles, children, in our body, and these muscles, how do they work actually? They are the tough fiber-like, they are also the fiber-like substances. Okay, and they are attached, the skeletal muscles attached to the bones. So now how do they work? For example, the very common example what we give is your arm. So your arm, the upper arm has muscles over here. You can touch and feel it. Muscles over here and even here downside. So the upper side, upper muscles are called as biceps, while the lower are called as triceps. Biceps and triceps. So when you fold your arm here, when you bring close your lower arm towards the upper arm, what happens? The biceps will contract. Contract means it will shrink. Okay, it will come close to each other. While the triceps will relax. Contract, relax. So there are two things for a muscle to work: contraction and relaxation. So the biceps will contract while the triceps will relax, and you can get this kind of movement by that. When you are stretching your arm, what happens is just the opposite. Your triceps will contract while the biceps will relax. Okay, you can feel that pressure also. Try this at home. Now, children, that is how we move, we walk, we run, we sit with the help of these muscles as well as bones. Now, what in case of other animals? How do they walk? We humans, we studied like this. Okay. Now, the gait of animals. So, gait means you can consider the locomotion, how they move, how they walk or sit, how they run. Okay, all will come under the gait. G-A-I-T, gait. So, first let us learn about the earthworm. So, earthworm, children, you know, are there any bones in earthworm? No, but still they move. They don't. We don't say they walk. Correct? We don't say they walk. They what we say, they creep. So earthworm, how do they move? With the help of their muscles. Their body is elongated. Consider this as a earthworm. So this is the head part here, and they will have several muscles all over the body here. What does it do for moving forward? First, this is the front side. That wherever the head is present, we call that as a front side. Okay, and this is the back or the rear end. So front muscles will first first move forward. Okay, and after fixing that in a place, the back muscles will release. Then it will join. So the thing is, if this is the earthworm, this is the front part, this will be fixed on the ground. Okay, only this muscles, the front muscles will be extending forward, and then it will fix on the ground, and the back will be released. Then back muscles will join the front muscles. Okay, it will move forward. This is how they move, the earthworms. Now coming to the snail. Snail, you have seen, children, do they have a skeleton? They do have a skeleton, but not the inside, not within the body. It is outside the body. So we call such skeleton as exoskeleton. And which kind of skeleton do we have? We have endoskeleton. We have endoskeleton. The scale will have a hard outer covering. Correct? Snails. So that our hard outer covering is called as exoskeleton. But the exoskeleton will not help in the locomotion of the snail. It is the hard muscles, strong and hard muscles of the foot of the snail which helps in its locomotion. That is the movement. If you find a snail during the rainy season, most of the times you will find the snail. So take the snail and put it on a glass tray or any glass surface. Put it there. Now when it walks, try to observe from the downwards of the glass surface. You can find trails of the movement of the snail. Okay, you can find the trails, and it will be like what you say is this kind of movement it will give. It will not go straight in a line. Okay, little bit wavily it will move. You can understand because from the foot of the snail. So this will be the thick foot of the snail. Here will be the exoskeleton present, and this is the head part of the snail. So this foot, how it moves, you observe that. Now coming to the cockroach. Even cockroaches have exoskeleton, children, and they have 3 pairs of legs. That is total 6. So these pairs of legs, they will be attached to the the chest part of the cockroach. Okay, to that muscles it will be attached. The 3 pairs of legs, as well as some cockroaches do have wings. So 2 pairs of wings as well as 3 pairs of legs will be attached to the breast part, or you can say the chest part of the cockroach, where the muscles help in the give support to the legs and the wings for the movement. Okay. Now coming to the birds. How do the birds move? They fly. Correct? And many birds, yes, do walk also, but majorly they will fly. And for that, they have specially created their adaptation. They have specially adapted themselves. They will have a hollow bones. Hollow bones means the bones inside will be empty, will be space, lot of air space will be there, so that it can fly easily above the sky, okay, up in the air. And they also have wings. We have 4 limbs, right? That is our hands in general we say. So birds have modified 4 limbs into wings. Instead of these 4 limbs, they have wings, and they have hind limbs, that is the normal legs. So these 4 limbs, the wings are attached to the chest part or the breast part, okay, so that they have a very strong hold, and these muscles, they help the wings to fly. They help the wings to do this kind of movement up and down. So when the muscles of the chest contracts, it helps the wings to pull down. Okay. And the hind limbs again will be attached to the lower part of the body, where the muscles again they help in the locomotion. Coming to the fish now. How do fish move? Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that, children? How do fish move? They don't move straight, right? They will move like this. They will go like this, but you can't observe that when you see them completely. That is very slightly they will do that movement. Okay. So fishes have streamlined body, like this kind of body. So this kind of body helps them to move forward in the water, inside the water. Also the fins and the flippers. Some will have flippers, some will have fins. Correct, the fishes have fins. Also the tail region, tailbone, even that provides the movement there to the fishes. The last but not the least, the snakes. The snakes do slither. Okay children, so before moving on to the snake, I would like to show how the streamlined body looks like. So these are the fishes. This is how the body of the fish is, the streamlined. Correct? That means the body tapers at both the ends. It will be tapering, like little bit pointed kind. Okay? The shape is such that the water can flow around it easily and allow the fish to move in water. The skeleton of the fish is covered with strong muscles. Okay? During swimming, muscles make the front part of the body curve to one side and the tail part swings towards the opposite side. That means the body of the muscles of this body part moves in one side, take a curve in one side, while the tail will take the opposite direction. That is how the movement happens in fishes. Okay, so that is the curve kind of movement it gives here. It will give curve movement. Now in case of snakes, we say snake slither. Okay, the movement is called slithering, slither. Snakes will have long backbones, children, and they have many thin muscles. They are connected to each other. Okay, though they are far, they will be connected to each other. The snake body curves into many loops. You must have seen this, right? How the snakes move? Yes, into many loops it will form the loops like this. Lot of loops. It will move in this way. So each loop of the snake gives it a forward push by pressing against the ground. So one loop, this is one loop, this is another loop, this is the third loop. So each loop of the snake will give a forward push to the snake. And they do it by pressing the body against the ground. So since it's long body, they have a long body, correct? So they make many loops and each loop will give this push to the snake, and that is how the snakes move forward very fast and they don't move in a straight line direction. Okay children, they don't move in a straight line direction. They will make a loop and they will move, while fishes do curves, move in the form of curves. So that was all about this chapter, body movements. We learned how we humans move. We learned how these different kinds of insects or the animals or birds move. Some which don't have skeleton, some which have skeleton, some which have wings, some which have fins. Okay? So any doubt, we will clear it out in the interactive session. Thank you.